Ooh, free runner.
Hello, my name is Ray Hurd. I am the voice of Admiral Kizaru of One Piece, and you are listening to Trap Anime.
Nice, okay. All right, now let's try Topo.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ray Hurd. I am the voice of Topo of Dragon Ball Super, and you are listening to Trap Anime.
God, that was amazing.
Nice. Okay, great. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Okay. So, are you like a big anime fan? Do you watch a lot of anime?
Oh yeah. I haven't watched as much recently. The last thing anime wise I like a lot of different types of animation in general. I say a lot of different types, but I like animation in general. But I am an anime fan, and that genre specifically, yes, there's quite a few properties that I've.
What's the most recent anime that you started watching and you liked?
Attack on Titan.
Nice.
Now that's been something I've been following since for a long time, but the last season just ended a couple of months ago.
Right.
I say ended, but
Kind of with the final part 3.
You know what I mean? Because it's like I talked to oh my gosh. He's a buddy of mine. He's actually the director. Mike McFarlane. I talked to Mike about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, dude, first I congratulated him on how nice it was and how, that part of the ending that we got to. And then I went and watched it because I hadn't watched it when I told him. I just thanked him so much for what I already knew about. And then I came back later because I'd already seen part of it, and we were waiting it was like a mid-season finale, so we were waiting for the rest to come back, and then it did, and then I was like, and then I watched it, and I'm like, what the heck, they made landfall, like what's the what's the conclusion? So I go back and I talk to him, and he's like, oh man, we're probably we're gonna have to wait and see, and we don't know when it's gonna come out. And usually when those things happen, it's nothing that Funimation, who's now Crunchyroll, can really do about that kind of stuff. It's not
right, because most of the stuff
really
comes from overseas anyway, so it's just
right.
like
when it all comes animation wise, it all comes from Japan. I mean, it's not like we're even getting scripts that come so early. You have to wait for them to process things first. So it's one of those things. There's just not a whole lot we can do about it. So that was the gist of what he told me, and I was like, oh man. So of course that's how a 6-season show turns into a 10-year show.
Man, when you can go to the source and say, hey man, I need my episodes. What you doing?
Oh man. Well, it's nice to be able to talk to him, but it's still kind of we're all still playing the same game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we as voice actors are in more weight than production staff. So because they got to get they get it, and then they have to process it. With the writers and everything else.
You guys are kind of like the last element, would you say? Like right. The last piece of the puzzle.
We're what you call. Yes, the voice actor is what you call post-production. So that's when everything else is said and done. We come in at the end.
Everything decided, everything's done. They done animated it. They done said this. All right, now here you come in and do this
and put their special touches on it.
Well, and that's what's funny about the whole thing. It's like imagine reading the Genesis story and. And instead of making Adam and then adding the soul, it's like we're the let me put it this way to make it simple. We have to breathe life into the production. We breathe life into the characters. So it's like they make the body first. So it is kind of like the Genesis story. They make the body of it first, and then afterwards we give it the soul. So but it's not easy to do because everything is, like you said, decided, So when we come in, we have our ideas and the way we have to approach it, and we're still, there's still things to be figured out and how to approach the character, because if it's already established in Japan or in China, wherever the genre comes from, the animation comes from, then you have to figure out the best way to still approach it, and because they have an idea of what it should sound like, but depending on the character, they may not really know. They just have what they think it should sound like, and then you bring something to the table, and it's like, oh, that's completely different. Especially if it's a character that's never been read for before. Like, let's say it wasn't an import; it was something here. And they made the cartoon, they produced everything, written the story and all, and you have to breathe life into the character. Then it's a completely different ballgame then, because you don't even have a point of reference.
Right.
Because tone goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's stories on YouTube you can listen to for free, where you'll hear the voices of Pinky and the Brain and all, and those guys from back in the day, and they talk about how they had to do that stuff, and I've done it myself, and it's a challenge.
And here we go.
Trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, the real anime podcast. I lay this trap card face down.
This is the Real Anime Podcast.
We bring trap to the anime, and I am Token Day.
I am Strong Arm.
This is Trap Anime.
And this is Trap Anime.
We always in the trap with anime and rap. My arm stays strong, grabbing tokens while I lap. The Saigon when I snap, Hadouken when I tap. If you looking for some trap anime, then here's your map. We always in the trap with anime and rap. My arm stays strong, grabbing tokens while I lap. The Saigon when I snap, Hadouken when I tap. If you looking for some trap anime, then here's your map. Here's your map, here's your map, here's your map. Well, we gotta wait a little bit because we got this commercial break about to come up, so hold your horses.
Bitch.
It's Doug Demaclone, owner of the Pimpsdale Nigga Dome, and I'm here with Naruto Nigga Rocky.
Too much shit on your plate?
Clone!
Too many tasks around the house?
Clone!
Too much to do at work?
Clone!
Then I got things for you. Hi, I'm Naruto Nigga Rocky with a clone for each and every one of your bullshit ass needs.
Clones!
We got your red clones, blue clones, yellow clones, purple.
Clones!
We got your 1 clone, 2 clones, 3 clones, 4. Fuck it, maybe 100 clones.
Clones!
Weak ass village needs saving?
Clone!
Can't satisfy your wife?
Clone!
Need to rob a couple of niggas?
And now, this world shall know pain.
I got them clones for y'all.
I got the clones for you.
The hip bone next to the clone bone.
Warning. Side effects of clones are talk no jutsu, depression, loss of power, and tons of filler episodes. If you experience any of these symptoms, we don't give a fuck and you should probably go fuck yourself. If you are allergic to clones, contact your doctor immediately because that is cap and you are full of shit.
Come on down today and get your clone on the way.
Clone.
Welcome to Trap Anime, everybody. I am your host, Strong Arm.
I am Mrs. Strongarm.
And we are here today with one of my favorite voice actors, like Mr. Ray Hurd, the voice of not only Top from Dragon Ball Super, but also the voice of Admiral Kizaru from One Piece.
Hey, everybody!
Yay.
Give it up for...
This is the wrong voice. I don't know. I'm not sure which one I should say. Am I in the wrong studio? Nah, I'm kidding. What's happening, y'all?
That was nice.
Great to be here.
And you also do a lot more voices, too. Those are just your top 2 voices, right?
Well, those are... It kind of... Well, not necessarily, because my voice is... I voiced Silky from My Hero Academia.
Right.
The literal Navy SEAL, which was so funny to me because he is a literal Navy SEAL. I mean, that's just you couldn't have you couldn't have asked for a better character.
Right. Like how you be a Navy and a SEAL, right, but you're still a SEAL.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. We got living Navy SEAls, right? I mean, but he is an actual Navy SEAL. You know what I mean? It's like he is a half SEAL, half man in the Navy. It's like you could never, it's Marine Ops. You could have asked for a better character, and that was the first character that Funimation allowed me to do an actual character voice on, something different from. Well, I say that because Admiral Kizaru is a character voice, but it's still really close to my natural speaking voice. Okay. So that was the first character I had done with them that I had. Well, I take that back. It's the second character, but it's the one that the second character that I've done an actual character voice where it sounded nothing like me, and that one gave them the trust they needed in me to allow me to do other character voices that were completely different than my own, and that was that character opened that door for me. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's Admiral Kizaru, Top or Topo, whichever you prefer, and that one Selkie. And I'm thinking, hey, those are the biggest characters I know.
Okay. So I
do tons of characters.
So how long have you actually been voice acting?
Oh, well, professionally since 2013.
Okay. Who was your first voice?
2012, 2013. But my first voice, to finish that question, but I've been voice acting much longer than that though, as a whole. Probably since really since 2004.
Okay.
So yeah, almost 20 years.
Yeah, about 18 years so far.
I don't like to say 20 years after I say 2000 something. It doesn't feel right yet.
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
It still feels weird saying 20 years and 2000 anything. It just doesn't feel natural still.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's still weird to me to say that we're in the year 2022. That is still strange to me. I mean, I'm kind of an old head now, so I mean, when it comes down to saying that year, I mean, most of the movies that came out when I was a kid, I should say, all of those were like Transformers. The animated movie came out in 1984. And the year in that movie was the year 2005. And so, Back to the Future 2 happened in 1986 or 1987. And it was it was
2015, right, or something like that.
The year 2015. That's right. So when 2015 happened, that's of course why Jimmy Fallon had not Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry. What was his name?
Michael J.
It was another, the other Jimmy from Channel 8. Anyway,
Kimmel.
It was
Jimmy Kimmel?
The other show, Kimmel. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, he had them Doc Brown and Marty McFly come on the show out of the DeLorean like they had just got here.
Right.
That was just really crazy. But yeah. So you had your question was which was my first character, right? My first character was that I'd ever done anime-wise was in Fairy Tail. That was Azuma. And, that was interesting to say the least. He was the best way I can put it is a lot of people consider him a black character, but he was definitely a character of color, and
definitely.
And of course, I'm a black man speaking for him, so
they would say they want you to put the blackness on them, put the swag on them.
They say you got to breathe soul into the animation.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it was my best Kevin Conroy impersonation.
Okay.
When I did that character, the Kevin Conroy Batman.
Yeah.
That was my best impersonation of him as Batman, doing that character. And so I was, you know, that's the only voice I can imagine him having.
That's a cool fun
Something
fact.
like that. So that was my thought process going into that character, and that was a really cool character to do. And I mean, and that year was an awesome year for me because, well, the following year I'd won an award, and well, I say the following year, excuse me. There was I don't know when exactly it hit, but it was like the next year or two later or whatever. But they put out they had, behind the voice actors had this they have this award they give out every year for breakthrough voice actor of whatever year and all those different things. And so I won an award in 2014 for breakthrough voice actor of that year because Funimation at that time, they were notorious for only hiring actors to do one, maybe two characters in a year. And I did 4.
Oh, nice.
So I like shattered the record.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I always love the fact that when you go back and look at that registry and you see all of the guys that I beat out and all the guys and girls that I beat out, it was Chris Sabat was one of them. So I can always just give a nice fist pump.
Oh yeah, that's always a nice little
Bad guys everywhere. So yeah, that's a good one.
I like to dig at him every now and then and mess with him. He's a great guy. I really like that guy. I love that guy a lot. That's just thing because he has been had an indelible mark on my career in terms of helping me.
That's nice.
That's good. I like to hear that.
An awesome person.
You said Chris Sabat, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the voice
Chris
of
Sabat.
Yeah, the voice of Zoro, Gohan, Vegeta, All Might, the legend himself.
Right.
You go to any con, his line is around the corner, out the door and around the corner.
I mean, I'm a fan of his as well. So when I met him, you know, it was really cool. I just try not to geek out when I meet some of these guys. And,
right, because they'd be like, I'm supposed to be a celebrity myself. I can't just be geeking out to other celebrities.
Yeah, you know,
composure.
No, those are my favorite videos to watch. Yeah, celebrities geeking over other celebrities. Do it.
Right. I mean, I'm a fan too. Like, you know, anything Dragon Ball. Like, I mean, I grew up with the franchise, so like, it was a big thing for me, especially Z, because Z came out in the '90s, and it was a really it was perfect for that generation, you know, any Gen Xer and all. It really was. It was
because we were going from Tom and Jerry, and we needed something more than that. And they provided.
Yeah, so you know, it's one of those things. And so when I did the Kamehacon recently, and it was at the beginning of this month, and my birthday is on May the 2nd, so I was like, you know, what a better way to spend my birthday, but you know, with the fans and with the people that I love to.
Oh yeah, shout out to Kamehacon, because that's actually where we met you at. We met you at Kamehacon, so shout out to Kamehacon.
That's right. So yeah, it was. I mean, you know, meeting all the Canadian actors and actresses and the some of the American actors and actresses as well was really cool. And then of course Bruce Faulkner. I mean, you know, he made the music that, you know, a lot of people have their issues with it, but that was my introduction to Z. You know, so
it was.
Like, you know, Rock the Dragon, I'm all right with. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Dragon Ball Z was
for anybody I hurt, but I'm like, you know, it was what it was.
Now, it got everybody into anime. If it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z, I don't think I'd be as much of an anime fan as I am today.
It'd be a lot of late bloomers.
It would be way late.
Well, you know, the funny thing about that is that when I was a kid watching a lot of cartoons, I had no clue how much anime that we were already watching. And
that part too.
Yeah, I found that out in later
years.
You know,
we had G-Force, Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yep.
Then later on, Gundam Wing. Then before that, it's a cartoon that a lot of people don't remember called Techno Man. It was called, I think, Tekka Man in Japan, but it was Techno Man here in America. It was, I mean, we had, I mean, all of these different shows. Even G.I. Joe was drawn by Japanese artists.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Power Rangers and stuff like that.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, and Power Rangers. I mean, and people don't understand. That's funny because I was talking to my wife about this the other day. It's like Power Rangers. She hated Power Rangers, but I love it.
I love Power Rangers. That was
like, oh man, like everything. I mean, we used to watch the old Godzilla movies and stuff when they were puppets. Back in the back when all of the older movies that came out in the 60s, 70s, and all of that. And I watched that kind of stuff as a kid. And so when the Power Rangers came out, it was just more of it. And then Ultraman, we had Ultraman. Right?
Yes, Ultraman.
Right, which essentially, I mean, that's all it was. So when the Power Rangers came out, it was just a new generation getting to see that old stuff, but just done in a new way. And so, I mean, even to this day, Power Rangers is still a staple of that genre of TV and movies.
Each generation get their own batch.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so each generation has gotten to sample that stuff. And when it comes down to the anime stuff, I mean, if you give me Star Blazers, like it's so many different shows that were anime that we just didn't know that's what it was, And then a lot of them were drawn by Japanese animators.
Mm-hmm.
And, but they were, so we just didn't know Voltron. All of that, was exactly what it was. Thundercats,
Yeah.
It's like, we just didn't know. We just didn't know that's what was, that's what it was. So yeah, I was introduced to it at a really young age. I mean, a lot of that stuff. I mean, some of that stuff is had become anime that wasn't initially, but the majority of what I named off was Speed Racer.
Speed Racer definitely was. It was definitely an anime.
That was, right before anime was anime. You know what I'm saying?
Before you even knew what it was.
Right. And so I got into Fatal Fury was my big thing when I as a kid. Mostly the Fatal Fury movies, and those were about the Bogart brothers and Joe Higashi and Mai Shiranui, all of those characters. And I gotten a lot of my friends into anime through Fatal Fury, and they made the games, and I was a big fan of the franchise. Neo Genesis, I think it was. Had the property rights for it. In Sync. And then later on Capcom and all, and they started to match over. But all of those were genres of anime from back in the day, Fist of the North Star, all of that stuff. So, I mean, I had been a fan for many, many years. Matter of fact, it's so funny because I'm auditioning for something related to one of those.
Okay.
That I named off, but I can't. So
he's going to drop us a little something, but can't give it to us.
He said, I don't want to jinx it.
It's okay. It's okay.
But yeah. I'm doing an audition for one of those. So
well, good luck with that.
It's,
I hope you get that.
Yeah, thank you. It's some. I don't know really what's going on, or if they're coming up with new stuff or whatever for it, but for one of those animes. But it's going to be really cool from what it looks like. And so
can't wait.
I'm excited about just having the opportunity to audition. But it's man. I mean, like I said, I've been in it for a long time, liking those characters, and yeah, it wasn't really a hard transition to me.
Okay, so who would you say is your favorite character to voice?
My favorite character to voice. I get that question, and it's hard to say. If I had to narrow it down, I'd say the top is probably the most fun. Well, it's kind of stuck between he and Selkie.
Okay.
Because
you actually get to do
Selkie,
something different than your actual normal voice.
Right. I mean, and I love doing characters because, and when I say characters, I mean like in a character style voice, like where it's nothing like my own voice. I mean, I enjoy doing those because it's more of a challenge for me, and it's a completely different personality that I have to put to it.
Yeah.
It really stretches me to have to do those, and so I enjoy doing them, and I can come in and out of them pretty easily. And Selkie's register is much more this way, so he's got a gravel to his voice. He talks, and he's got gills and flippers and stuff, you know. So it's like he's got stuff going on with him, you know. So it's like, and then he's got the walrus teeth or the seal teeth, excuse me. And you know, it's a lot of fun to do that character. And then he has this weird cute thing he does where he's trying so hard to be cute.
Oh yeah, the little cute face.
Right, you know, but at the same time, he's such a tough-looking character, you know? And it's like, dude, you're like one of the most tough-looking masculine characters, but then he puts on this really cute look, you know, and everybody tells him, like, stop, please stop. And he just insists on doing it, you know? And so I really enjoy that character, but I think it's a cross between him and Top as being my favorite. Kizaru, he's really so cool and mellow. You know, his it's a part of him in me in terms of his overall attitude towards things. It's just I'm way more Top-like in how I get excited. You know, I get excited about things, and I'm you know, all of a sudden I'm loud and stuff. So Top is not hard for me to get to, but when I voiced him for the first time, like, that was a challenge because Top is, you know, he's not here where I am now, or he's not even
he's
here,
very
or
enthusiastic.
here. He's way up here. You know, he's like, you know what I mean?
Be gone, villain.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, you're, you know, I'm yelling with Top, you know, and so I'm putting a lot of effort into it. I mean, I sweat every time I did the character, and so you know, I hope they bring him back in another you know, with more Dragon Ball stuff. But
I hope so too.
It's his regular, you know, him outside of God mode. He's so amped up. You know, I can appreciate his fervor and his charisma and his overall attitude towards justice and everything. Like I can appreciate that character. So I like him a lot. So
I'm assuming. So I'm assuming that we don't see Top in the newest Dragon Ball Super movie.
Say again?
I'm assuming that we don't see Top in the newest Dragon Ball Super movie.
I don't know.
You
haven't got that information. So
one of those he can't say it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, in this case, I don't know. I really don't. I haven't gotten any word on it yet, so I can, at this point, neither confirm nor deny. But it's it's honestly because I don't know. So yeah, if Chris passes me anything, lets me know, or whomever may be handling it.
Right.
Yeah. I'd hopefully they don't. Well, you know, if it's not treated like a Marvel movie, then yeah, I'll probably be able to talk a little about it. But you know, it's I'm hoping. So I don't know. I don't know really what's going on with it. And a lot of that stuff with the Dragon Ball stuff, like I got, after being with Funimation for a while, I did my first. I remember my first job that I did with Chris Sabat's studio, and it was for Ip Man 3. I don't know if you follow the Ip Man franchise. I always say Ip Man, you know, that's the way they say it, accent-wise. But with Donnie Yen playing Bruce Lee's uncle.
Oh.
And part three was Mike Tyson. You know, Ip Man faces Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So they did this audition where they needed a Mike Tyson sound alike, and so I said, okay, well, you know, I'll go for it. And so I did. And next thing you know, I get a call, and they told me that, or an email message actually, and they let me know that they wanted me to come in for the character. And when I came in, I was like, how many other guys went for this? And it was like maybe 300 some odd guys or whatnot. And so I was like, wow, you know, I was really honored to.
Wow, I did not know. What did you do on that?
I did Mike Tyson.
Okay, so
when the audio came out from that in the Cantonese version, if you watch it on Netflix, you've got maybe 3 different options to watch it in. Well, 2 of them are the Cantonese, which is the original version. That's the Chinese version, and the original audio. That's when you listen to Mike in that one, you hear Mike Tyson. When you listen to it in the English version, you're hearing my voice. And so,
wait. So you're telling me that you're hearing your voice in the actual English version, but
Cantonese
in the
version.
Cantonese version, it's Mike's actual voice.
It's Mike's actual voice.
Wow.
But the audio was so bad in the Cantonese version. It was so bad that they had to they had to fix it. They had to dub it, and so they sent it over to Chris Sabat's studio. He has his own studio.
That's crazy.
And I auditioned for it. They picked me up for it, and I did it. So it's a little bit lower tone. I mean, I have a cousin that just found out about this recently. He's like my big brother. And so it's so funny because we grew up watching all this anime and stuff together and everything too, and sharing these experiences. And he was like, when it came down to that movie, he's like, yeah, I saw that movie, and I knew when I listened to Mike, his voice was a little bit lower. So I was like, I know that's not Mike, but I didn't know it was you. I said, yes, it's me. And so what makes it worse is that the credits at the end, there were so many different companies that had dubbed it and dubbed it and dubbed it and everything, that Chris's studio is not even at the end to get the credit.
Oh,
so it's like, we don't even get our names on the project.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, if you look it up, maybe if you Google it, you might find it, but if you watch it and then wait for the credits to pop up at the end, they never do. And so, and trust me, I've tried. But yeah, so anyway, that was the first. The point of that is that once I got in, I started asking Chris. I said, hey, I'd love to do something with Dragon Ball. Would you let me try out and do some characters? And he was like, no, nothing's going on now. So I said, okay, cool. A year goes by. Next year, nope, not at all. Next year, they had more stuff with Super going on, where they were doing all of these different shows and whatnot from Super. And I'm like, dude, let me get in. He's like, nope. And then the fourth year comes around, and I'm like, hey, am I ever gonna get a chance? And he's like, well, he said, hey, I got something perfect for you. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking I'm finally gonna get my shot. And so he puts out, they send out auditions for the three Coyote brothers, whose names don't come to mind at the moment.
Bergamot,
the Danger Trio,
and
Bergamot, yes. And so I auditioned for all three of those guys. I gotta get one of these guys. And he's like, nope, you can't have those either. And I'm thinking, really? And so he's like, nope, I got the perfect character picked out for you. And so when I first went in for it, all I saw was what the fans saw, the hooded character. And he catches the key blast and just breaks it up in his hand like it's nothing, smashes it. It's like, how dare you betray the gods, something to that effect, and it's like, oh man, who is this guy? And then, then I come in a whole week or so later, and I get to see him and then do the whole announcement where he, jumps out and fights Goku or challenges Goku, and that was a lot of fun. And that's when we had to find Top's voice at that point. They just knew they wanted me to do it, but we had to then find his voice. And so, like I said, that was a challenging role, because once I had found his Justice voice, then he goes God mode.
Right, the God of Distress.
I started to, yes. And so once I was introduced to that, it was a few months later, and then we did that one. And once I was introduced to that one, that version of him, I had to find a whole nother voice for the character, because he is no longer this Justice, this
Justice has been put aside at this point.
He abandons all of that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I now have to reach a whole new depth. And when I started voicing him, I still was kind of in that mode. And I remember talking to, I believe it was Raleigh Pickens that did the editing on that, the sound editing. And so I stopped and I said, we were like, I asked him, I said, does this sound right, man? Is this, I don't think this is right. We might need to work on it. And so we did, and came up with a better version of what he would sound like if I'm abandoning the principles of justice and all of the things that make him him, and where he would be in his mind, what that would sound like. And that's how we came up with the God of Destruction voice. And so, yeah. And then after that was over, like 2 years passed, and then they make a mobile game, and I had to do the mobile game, and I had zero reference. Totally different. I had zero audio. Usually you can get an audio reference from what you've done. It's like, hey, well, you got any audio references from the character? And I was like, no, we're going to have to wing it. So I had to try to go back and, and I had already watched some of Super to see my character and listen to the voice, but I didn't get any footage of the God mode voice at that point. None of that was out.
Oh, so you had to do the voice of God mode before they even had it out, basically.
Yes. So basically, there was no sample or vocal reference. And when you do a lot of different characters, in other projects, you don't always remember where you left. If I come in the studio and I do an Italian character and I have to speak like I'm from Sicily, but with an American with an American speaking English, American English with an Italian accent, a Sicilian accent. It's like, and then I do another character where it's a French accent, and then another one with a Russian accent, and then I do all these different Southern dialects, and then all of a sudden, hey, why don't we come back to this other character that you did like 2 years ago? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna need y'all to play that for me, please.
It's challenging. So and so that's why they call it voice acting. Because you have to be able to act. Yeah, you have to be able to act like you have to be able to act like you didn't miss a beat. It's like you're still there. You're still in that mode. And so
it should still be the same voice, right?
Praying, and so I was just praying that the mobile game. Everybody liked it. They said it all turned out good. So I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but I hear it's really fun.
Okay, that's what's up.
I think I've gone well beyond your question, I believe, at this point.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Hey, good conversation is good conversation.
Right.
So, outside of what you voiced, what are some of your favorite anime characters?
Favorite anime characters,
or just favorite animes in general.
Well, my first thought was going back to Attack on Titan. Probably my favorite character outside of Eren is my number one favorite character is Irvin.
Oh, Irvin.
Yeah, or Erwin, the way they say his name, almost like it's a Dutch or a German name, but his character was, when I talked to Mike about it, I was like, man, that was like, you couldn't have cast anybody better. Like, I can't remember the name of the voice actor that does his voice, but man, he was awesome. I was like, I told him to give him my regards, because that, like, he had the kind of captivating voice and way about him that would make you follow him into the mouth of hell. Like, he was just that kind of commander.
He was.
I mean? Like, he made them, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Just, to make, you wanted to give your life to the cause, and fight.
And that made you be like, what? Even if I gotta die, I'm going. He said, keep going. Just keep going. Right. You know what? I gotta keep going. It is what it is.
Right.
It's spellbinding. I don't know what to tell you.
Yes. He made you believe. So it's that's one of my favorite characters, which kind of surprised me. I didn't expect that. Let me see. Of course, it's hard to beat out Goku. I love Goku. When I was at the Kamehacon, funny story, there was a vendor there. Oh man, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. But he did T-shirts, and so he and I, which he hooked me up too. He hooked me and my wife up with some nice shirts. I have to give him a shout out. I've been giving him shout out every chance I can, because he's such a cool guy. But man, we get into it right over something similar to your question. He was like, he started talking about why Vegeta was better than Goku, and so I walked into this and heard him talking about it, and I'm like, okay, you know, and I listened to him and let him come to his conclusion, and he's like, yeah, you know, Vegeta he didn't have anybody show him this, that, and the other, you know, he beat all these guys when he was like 7 years old or something, and that's all the stuff he did, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, you know, that's why, you know, everybody talk about this Goku stuff, and I'll put him up like he's the big dog or whatever, but that's why I'm with Vegeta. And I said, okay, cool. I get it. Vegeta's a cool character. I like him a lot, too. I said, but I'll tell you why you're wrong. And so I tell him, and it's so crazy because most of this conversation is on Instagram, and I found it as the guy that recorded it sent me the copy, and so I'm gonna send it out again on my Instagram page and Facebook so everybody can see it. But like, I'll probably do that here when we get off of the interview. But it's we go into. I told him, you know, I basically gave him the rundown as to Goku is not the kind of character Goku has and the kind of person he is. And I'm like, you say Vegeta had nothing handed to him. I'm like, Vegeta was the son. First of all, Vegeta knew who he was. He's the Prince of the Saiyans. Mm-hmm. His father, he knew who his father was. His father was the king of the king of the Saiyans. I said he knew what his planet was. He lived there. He knew what the Saiyans were all about. He knew his history. He knew that there was a legendary Super Saiyan. He knew all of this stuff. He was trained by his people. You know what I mean? Like he was, why he always touted the Saiyan pride. I said there was never a point where he didn't know who he was or where he came from. Right. You know, and the best, you know, he even knew Goku's father's technique to make artificial moonlight. So I'm saying all this stuff, right? And the guy just gets really quiet, and so, then he starts trying to shoot back, you know. But now, you know, Vegeta went to this planet and beat all these guys at 7 and stuff. I said, well, so Goku was sent as an infant to destroy Earth. I said, so I mean, you know, as far as I said, but here's the thing. I said, like I said, Vegeta knew who he was. I said, Goku had no tools. Vegeta had all the tools when he went out into the universe to fight. Mm-hmm. I said, Goku had none of that, and when they met, he was still stronger than him. He was like, well, Goku got all this help from this person and that person. They just handed him stuff. They gave him. I said, no, they didn't. I said, Gohan, he had to be adopted by Gohan, his grandfather.
Right. He just so luckily got adopted by Gohan.
You know what I'm saying? He found him, you know, in the pond. And then that's after Goku tried to bite his head off, then he dropped him off a cliff. He hits his head, his program has changed, and then all of a sudden he's a different person. I said, so he had to decide to take him in. Then he trained him. And then he was like, sorry, that wasn't handed to him. He had to, you know, adoption. How many kids you know adopted, you know, went through a great process, you know, smooth transition.
You still have to work. You still have to work for it at the end of the day.
You know what I'm saying?
He ended up by himself for a while. Grandpa Gohan. And
Grandpa Gohan died. He killed Grandpa Gohan on accident.
And didn't even know it. He was by himself.
You know what I'm saying? That was his Uncle Ben moment. You know, that was his, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so, I mean, I said, when Vegeta met Goku, I said, Goku, you know, he kept trying to shoot all this stuff at me. I said, okay, well, let's bottom line it then. I said when Goku met Vegeta, I said, who asked who to change? I said, Goku was ready to fight for his planet and his people. I said, while Vegeta was fighting for his Saiyan pride and the Frieza Force or whatever, you know, Frieza, which we didn't, of course, know existed at that point. But I said, Vegeta saw Goku was so strong, he asked him to join him. I said, but when it was all said and done, who joined who? And he was like, no. I said, that's right. I said, you can say what you want about Goku. I said, but Goku changed Vegeta with all that Saiyan pride, with all that hell he had in him and all the crazy stuff, all the stuff he knew about being a Saiyan and stuff. Goku made Vegeta an Earthling.
Vegeta went out there looking for him and came back to Earth and stayed. Set up shop, started a family.
And he married an Earth woman.
His best friend? Oh, well, his best female friend.
Yeah, right. You know, so I'm like, who had more of an effect on who? If Vegeta was so great, you know, and I said, and this breaks my heart. I said, because you make me have to tear down somebody I really like.
Right. I really like Vegeta, but you know what? You're right. Yeah. So
Goku has that if you can't beat him, join him kind of pull around him.
Exactly. And I mean, join him to the point to where he married into the culture. So I'm like, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, so he abandoned all that Saiyan stuff, even though he still knew who he was. He abandoned it to the point to where, you know, he realized it was better being like Goku. So it's so much so that in the Babidi, the Majin Buu saga, before that really started and they fought against Babidi, he had to become a Majin just to get rid of, just to change his heart, to fight against what his heart was telling him was right. Because he was affected. He tells Goku, I was affected so much by you.
Yeah.
Positivity.
Mm-hmm. He did. He said, I found myself with a kid and family.
And I liked it.
That's right. And he was telling him, he said, this is the only way that I can fight you. Because I needed an external evil force to make me fight you. Because your good is so much more powerful than my bad. You know, than my evil. So I mean, you know, that was deep. So I'm like, how you gonna tell me he's greater than him? And then I started telling him, you know, reminding him, well, who went Super Saiyan first? Vegeta was only playing for race. So when did he go Super Saiyan first? I said, because of what he was fighting for. He was fighting for himself and for his own pride.
Vegeta cried.
He was fighting for.
He said, Kakarot, you have to.
I said,
you
have was fighting for more than himself. He was fighting for his planet, his people, you know, the universe, the history of the Saiyans, everything he already knew. Because Vegeta told him what happened to him and his father before he died, when Frieza killed him. Mm-hmm. I said, so he's fighting for more than himself. And I said, and the person that's willing, the person that has more that he's fighting for is always going to be stronger than the person that doesn't. It's fighting for just himself. It makes a difference when you got a hungry family at home that you're fighting for when you're in the ring versus somebody that doesn't.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? You know, your fight is gonna be a whole nother kind of fight.
I gotta push a little bit harder. I gotta make sure these kids can eat.
Absolutely.
Got to make sure my
Absolutely. And so, yeah, man, it's, you know, so anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but it's just more or less, you know, that's why it's one of the things we loved about Goku and, you know, going through, you know, growing up with that character. It's like he was fighting for something. He meant something to people, you know. It's like Optimus Prime, same thing. You know, he meant something to people, what he stood for, what he represented. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you know, those characters were great characters. So I really... and of course, Piccolo was always my dude too. You know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Piccolo because, I haven't told Chris this, but I'm like, you know, Piccolo's black in the black community. You don't know this yet.
Oh, you haven't broken to him yet.
I don't know if he really knows that. I've never had that conversation with him. I was like, but man, you know, I said before I even knew other black people felt that way. I was like, Piccolo's always been accepted as black.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty wide among us.
You need to go and whisper in there. Hey, you need to go and relinquish that Piccolo voice, man. Go ahead, let me get that for you. You know, that new super season gonna come up. You know, go and
got that upgrade. Go and let his voice upgrade too. Right. They're not about to have that.
He ain't about to let that have that. He's like, nah, it's mine. You can't have it.
Yeah. And then of course, I do love. I know it's I guess a bit of a praise to my own character, but I really love Kizaru as well because he is like, I mean, how do you kill this guy,
bruh?
Yeah,
he's completely unkillable. He's the most calm, chill character ever. Like,
so you're pretty much a One Piece fan, right? You pretty much watched a lot of One Piece, right?
I do like One Piece. I would say I'm more of a casual fan of One Piece. Like I do love the characters. Mm-hmm. I like the design. I like the overall concept and everything of One Piece. I've never really gotten into One Piece. Like I think the One Piece Z movie was really good to me. Like it was. If I was to tell anybody to introduce anybody to One Piece, I'd be like, you need to watch One Piece Z, not just because my character's in it.
I said not just for my characters.
There's just so much of it though. So if you have so much that you're doing on a regular basis, you can only be so much into it.
And that, right, you know, it is. It's hard to really nail down one genre and say, okay, or not so much genre, but one anime and say, well, this is my favorite, especially because of that fact. You know, I do so many characters. Like I remember when they told me I had done over 200 characters, and that was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago now.
Over 200 characters?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and I was thinking, really, I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like, and most of which nobody's even, I imagine nobody's even heard of. But
doesn't matter. Congratulations.
It's a lot of,
right. That is work, sir. That is work.
Yeah. It's funny because people, I had an uncle that asked me about that once, and he was like, so what are some of the things you've done? And I remember being kind of stumped. It was one of the first times anybody really asked me that at that point, and I was still kind of early in my career, and I was like, I wanted to pinpoint something and say, well, I do this, this, and this. Now, none of it he'd know about because he's not. He's a old school comic book guy.
Okay.
But he's never been in anime.
Spider-Man, Batman,
or manga. Yeah,
the print editions.
Right. Yeah, he was into like you said, Spider-Man, Thor, the Avengers, that kind of stuff. And he was a Marvel guy. So even though he knew the top DC characters, he was a Marvel guy. So anyway, he asked me what I do, and I was trying to think of ways to explain it to him. And I'm like, I do so many different characters and so many different things. It's hard to say. So yeah, and then a lot of what I do is unglamorous. Like I do the anime stuff and I do the popular characters, but I also do a lot of what I call blue collar voiceover work. So you probably never hear that from anybody else, but that's what I call it, blue collar voiceover work. So if you're familiar with the term blue collar, you already know that means hard work.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of different types of work for computer-based learning, things like that, and a lot of other stuff that you didn't ask me about. But there's a lot of other stuff that you have to do in this business also. Well, I say you have to, but if you're not in the right locations for union work and things, because there are a lot of things about it, whether you're in the union or not in the union, even as a on-camera actor, same thing, that there's certain benefits that come with all of that.
Speaking of on-camera acting, you just recently was in an actual live movie, wasn't you?
Yes, I was, and I'm in a few things actually. I did a couple of movies. I did one is called The Starter Marriage.
Right, that's the one I'm thinking of. The Starter Marriage. Yeah,
Arthur Muhammad directed that. He was the director of the movie Carter High, which is it had Patrick Duffy in it. Vivica Fox was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few names were in that, and which Carter High was a big deal here in Texas because
Carter High School down
Dallas
the street.
Carter. Exactly.
Yeah, we actually lived next door for about 3 years.
You all in Dallas?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're in Dallas.
You said you all are in Dallas. Okay, you're in Dallas. So what did you say, Miss Strong Arm?
We actually lived next door to Carter High for about 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. See, I played them. I'm a Paul Laurence Dunbar graduate, so
okay.
I played. They were our rivals in the district, and so and then they're the team that the other team played in Friday Night Lights, the movie.
Yeah.
With Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
You remember the Friday Night Lights had a TV series. Well, it came from the movie where the team they played, it was 1988, I believe, where they had the UIL championship, as if it was called that then. But anyway, it was the district, the state championship. As they played in football, they played against Dallas Carter, and those boys were huge in that movie.
They were.
And they were that big when I played them. When I was in high school. And I was thinking to myself, like, where do they find these guys from? They all look like pros.
Everything's bigger in
so
Texas.
Anyway, Doug, I mean, they were bigger than me at the time. I mean, I'm bigger now, but at the time I wasn't even 6 feet tall. Those guys were huge. They all looked like they were college or pro players.
For those of y'all that don't know, Mr. Ray, he is a huge guy. Like, he is pretty huge. Like, he's like, how tall would you say you are?
Oh, I'm 6'10".
Yeah,
I'm 5'4".
So imagine walking up on him and being like, "Oh yeah, them guys were huge." What? Somebody was huge to you? You're huge. You're like a mini giant over here.
Yeah, at that time I wasn't this big, nearly this size, but yeah, that was my freshman year in high school. But that was yeah. I mean, so yeah, if you want to rate me against somebody, I'm an inch taller than LeBron James. Put it like that.
Okay.
So, but I'm 4 inches shorter than Shaquille O'Neal. And he is like 1 times bigger than me. Like if you remember Tony Stark in the Iron Man movies walking into his suit, that's me and Shaq.
Yeah, like Shaq would be your suit.
Yes, Shaq is my Iron Man armor. A new type of black superhero,
and it fits snugly.
Yes, it would fit just right. Yeah, I was a stand-in for him a couple of years ago in Dallas, and at the Zaza Hotel in Dallas, he came and did a documentary there, and it was it was really nice to see him. A lot of fun. We spent the afternoon with him and listened to his stories. But he comes in, and so they needed somebody around his size to fit the setup for him, and so I did. And it was pretty nice. And, I mean, that's a big guy. I mean, you guys think I'm big. Shaq is huge, and TV doesn't do him justice because there's no fat on him anywhere.
I can imagine.
He's not a meathead or anything like that. Like that guy he's just diesel, man, cock diesel, just big dude, man. And he'd been working out then too, and man, he came in and I mean, it just was unreal. And I was like, this is what I look like to other people.
Have you ever?
It's like this is the effect I have on other people. This same effect.
On me. Yeah, his hands are twice the size of my hands and everything. So anyway, it was just great to meet him. And when I stood right in front of him, that's when I realized that Iron Man effect I just described.
Yeah.
I could literally walk into you and nobody would ever know it. Disappear inside. And so yeah, that's how big he is. So it's crazy. But I forget what your question was originally. But yeah.
Have you ever seen his TikTok? Shaq's TikTok?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Shaq has a TikTok and it is hilarious. Like he's always on there doing some kind of little dance or something with some little like he's crazy.
I was gonna mention that he did post one the other day with his workout and like full body like flex mode, and there was no fat on this man, and this was like last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I mean, he's in his early 50s, I believe, and he's just, yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, he really is.
Oh yeah.
He made life easier for me growing up because people didn't really know that giants were returning in the land.
It's like, hey, we are here, and this is us.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm like the little people on Hurd
Here's a Hue. We are here. We are here. We are here. That's exactly where I was pulling it from. He heard it.
Yes. Yeah, I knew where you were going. So yeah, that's how I felt, and so he helped build at the time it was Larry Shoe Store we had down here, and it was like I mean, at that time, for a pair of shoes in my size at that time, it was like buying a pair of Stacey Adams. I mean, you're paying almost $300 for a pair of Nikes,
Yeah.
But what happened is his effect made things easier for guys my size. They used to think that big and tall meant that if you were big, then you were shorter and wider.
Right, and that's not the case.
You were slender, right? And I'm both big and tall, so they didn't have things in my size so easily to find, so easy to find. And I mean, it's still a challenge finding shoes from time to time, but it's much easier than much easier than it used to be. So
I'm about to say, what size shoe you wear? 30?
To Shaq.
Be rude.
No, it's 19, 20.
19. Ooh.
19 in most shoes, 20 in some others. But
I can't even imagine trying to find some shoes that big. Like a 19, 20.
It's it's crazy. It's just really is. So yeah, he made things so much better for me. And going back to the movie, The Starter Marriage was the movie that I have done recently, and I was, of course, the biggest guy in the film physically, but working with so I was like kind of like the former pro athlete friend in the movie of best friend to the lead actor, which was Lynn Andrews was the lead actor in the movie, and it's a romantic comedy, and it was really nice. It was a lot of fun to do. Arthur Muhammad's really cool.
That's cool.
Where can you find that movie?
Was it streaming?
Oh man, where can't you find it? Is the question. It was last time I checked, it was on everything. Amazon, Tubi, I think.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft, their service. You could find it some of everywhere. The best thing I tell you to do is look up The Starter Marriage streaming.
Okay.
Google that, and
yeah, they give you the list now.
Yeah, they do.
They give you the list everywhere you can find it.
Most services have it available there. And then there's another project. There's another movie that I did called Sheer Pandemic, and that was with the director Tyson and he's a good buddy of mine, and I got to play a something of a gangster, but like he was the head gangster, like the head, like I was. It was the movie was based in the concept of what was going on during the pandemic, and so everybody in the movie represents somebody you may have known publicly, somebody you know from the public sphere, personality-wise. So everybody in the movie represents that in some way or another, and so it's not political at all or anything like that. It's just really just a good comedy, and it's just some of the ridiculousness of everything that happened, and then at the same time, the main characters get into this really. They like a lot of people had trouble finding work and keeping work, and
there's some real elements.
They find themselves in this. Yeah, right. Things that people really went through, but it made a really funny comedy out of it, and
I can already imagine.
I play a bad guy, so yeah. And my introduction, just the way that Chris, one of the other actors, Chris Clinton, you've probably seen him and didn't know you saw him. He does a lot of Windstar commercials, and he's a really big guy. He's 6'5", big guy, big muscle-bound guy, and he looks at me and he's like, "They brought a giant." and he's a giant guy,
Yeah.
It was funny, So he plays opposite me in that movie, and it's called Sheer Pandemic, and it's on most streaming services that I know of as well. Those are the two movies that I've done recently, and there's a series out that I was in called Breakers. And that's available on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And Breakers was a really grounded, serious show, and it's to simplify, it's a character. The main character finds himself in a Groundhog Day-like scenario where he's repeating the day over and over again.
Okay.
And he's trying to save this girl that he that dies. He witnesses her murder, and he's trying to save her, thinking that that's the reason that he's going through this. But it gets way more complex and way more crazy than he could have ever imagined. And it's when you get to the end of it, it was like, I remember watching it for the first time after I had done it, and I was like, oh, this is so much cooler than I thought it was on paper, when I read the script.
Yeah.
And Tyson directed that one also. And the cool thing about, he's kind of like my Quentin Tarantino. That's what he's been for me,
Nice.
And, he's allowed me to. I don't play a lot of what you see in Hollywood, like guys my size, which was great about, if you remember Michael Clark Duncan, the big guy that was in the Green Mile and all that kind of stuff. He's that was one of the things he did. He broke down those barriers for big guys where between he and The Rock, where we weren't just bouncers and muscle men just to be what they call the heavy. You just big bad guy to beat up, for the hero to beat up and stuff,
Yeah.
That's why I like Terry Cruz's character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's kind of in that same element,
like out characters. Yes, and he can thank Michael Clark Duncan, because Michael Clark Duncan broke down that door in many ways.
He did.
And The Rock as well, because he's 6'5", he's a big dude. Now Michael Clark Duncan was bigger and taller than him.
Yeah.
But the guys like that really made that, especially him being a dark-skinned man, a black man, and he went in and he showed that you could be something other than a slave,
right?
Than a lot of those types of characters, and so Jason Lang really allowed me way more flexibility in the characters that he gave me. My character in Breakers is he's a kingpin type character. And he does a lot of the dirty work for the politicians and people who can't be seen doing those things. And it's not like I'm physically doing it myself. He's got a company,
like a networker type deal.
He's kind of like a Gustavo Fring, from Breaking Bad or from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
He's like one of those types of characters, And I didn't have to be 5'5" to play him. So it's just a really cool thing. So thanks for asking about that. Yeah, those are the things that are available now. So yeah, if anybody wants to check them out, they're Amazon Prime and a lot of the other services have those movies and shows available. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. So looks like we're getting close to our time. So let's start wrapping it up. I got one last question for you. So
okay.
I want you to give some advice to the future and upcoming wannabe voice actors. For the kids out there that want to be voice actors and don't know how to be and don't know what to expect, give them some advice. Okay.
Technology has made things to where you don't have to go through the old guard in order to become a voice actor. You can actually get your own setup put together for under $500, maybe that at best, and just to get started and start making money. I know I did. It's about $500 for my setup, and that's mic and all included. And I got started, and I actually started making money, my first year. And the thing is that you can't look at it and think it's going to be you got to figure out which is best for you. Is it better for you to go to California, or California is probably the mecca of voice acting, because can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. It's probably the mecca of voice acting because it's where most of the big networks and things are. Texas is a big town, a commercial town, so you can do a lot of great commercial work and things here.
Okay.
Both on camera and that way. But you got to figure out which one works better for you. But technology does make it so much easier, where you can be in one place and work with people all over the world. And that's what's been my experience. I work with clients in Africa and Slovenia. All over China. I just finished a job with Microsoft, the contract that I fulfilled with them recently. Really, just last month we finished up, I believe. So yeah, and that was a Chinese client that Microsoft was working with to use my voice on some work projects that they had going. So I had done the same with Amazon and a bunch of other companies in other countries.
Yeah.
These are American, countries. So you don't have to I guess the short of it is that you don't have to be bottlenecked into going to California and doing it that way. You can do it from anywhere. And don't think of it as a get rich quick scheme, because it's not like you're going to get one character or something and then that's it. It's a grind. You've got to build trust, build solid relationships with the people that you're working with the production houses that you're going through to get work. You have to be on time. You've got to be available, because the biggest thing in voiceover is availability. You must be available. If you're not available, there's 100 other people that are willing to do what you do.
Right.
That's work in general.
Yeah, that is. That's work in general.
Yeah, right. So, especially, in businesses where, there's a lot more money thrown around, and people that, with the technology being the way it is, you got so many people that are more available,
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to, availability is huge. Don't think of it as a get-rich-quick scheme, and you don't have to be linked to one place in order to get the work. So, if you're willing to work hard and grind at it, it's one of these jobs. It's one of those jobs that it really is kind of ingrained in the whole American dream concept. Where if you work hard and build solid relationships, you will be successful in this business. Now, how successful is really totally up to you. Because in the process, you got to figure out who you want to be or what niche fits you best.
Right.
If you have one style or one type of voice, if you don't have a heavy voice, you don't have to believe. So I'm trying to give it to you in a bullet point fashion. But if you have a heavy voice, you're not stuck in just doing radio type stuff or whatever. Radio is radio. Voice acting is a whole other thing. So. A lot of the misconceptions that you may have about it, a lot of people do. They think, I'll just do funny voices and funny characters, and funny sounds. No, I'm acting.
I'm acting.
It's way more than that. Yeah, it's way more than that. And I'll give a quick story and be done. My wife helped me with a project that I did once. It was for a client that needed a. Have you ever seen those computer-based learning projects, like you get on a job or something, or you take a course and you'll see a person standing there and they've got their hands out like they're teaching it, like, and they're dressed like a teacher in a classroom and they're looking at you and it's just a picture and they're like, "Hi, I'm Hal, and I'm going to show you show you this financial platform and how to get into finance." And then you hear this woman that says, "Well, hello, I'm Susie," but Susie's not moving. It's just a picture of Susie.
Yeah.
And Susie's talking, right? And you hear the voice, okay? And then you're reading the material, and as you're reading the material, they're explaining it to you. Well, we had something like that to do, and so I needed a female voice, and so I said, well, I asked my wife if she'd like to do it, and she said, sure. And at that time, she didn't know very much about what I did. So she came in, and I'd already done my part, and she watched me, and then afterwards I said, I walked her through how to do it. And so the director, we did with directed session. So the director is on call with us, and he's telling her what to do. And she starts to read, and he's like, "Okay, Rachel, you're too close to the microphone. I need you to back up some." Then she reads again. He's like, "You're too far away from the microphone. You gotta get a little bit closer." And then he's like, I hear things, I hear sounds and stuff like thudding noise. She's talking with her hands, hitting stuff, hitting the microphone and hitting stuff while she's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's all these things that you don't think about that you do when you're talking. You can't do when you're in front of a mic. And so, it was the whole process of it. By the time she was done, she was so frustrated with it. She's like, "Never asked me to do this again." and she had a whole new appreciation for what I did. She was like, "This is hard. This is not easy at all." Yeah. And it's like, I'm thinking I'm saying it right, and he's steady telling me, "No, you have to say it this way. No, you have to put more emphasis on this. No, you have to, use a different inflection and put more emphasis on that word versus this word."
Right.
And she's like, "Yeah, she realized how hard it really was. And it was something relatively simple to me. But to her, she saw how hard it was. And so that helped me out a lot. So she realized I wasn't just in there playing around in my little office. So,
I'm working, woman.
It's so crazy because people believe that you're it's like, no, I'm back here doing serious work. And they're like, nah, he's just in there playing like it's a video game or something. I'm like, no, this is serious work.
He over there spitting bars. He ain't doing no work.
They think it's just a joke. I'm like, no, it's a lot to it. There's a lot of energy that goes into it because you're acting. So I don't care how uninterested you may be in the product. If it's a financial advisor, the speech that you have to give and you're reading it out, you have to read it with the same enthusiasm you would if you loved math and you loved finance. So all of those things go into it. So don't go into voice acting thinking it's just a it's just a simple thing. It's a lot to it. Take acting courses. Learn how to harness your tool, which is your voice. Learn how to take care of your voice, because you're gonna find days when you're sick, and it's gonna be a challenge. And hone your craft. Don't just get happy with with the little good that you're doing. Make sure that you're always working on it and seeking to get better. Look up other voice actors. Listen to commercials and what they sound like now. There's a lot to it, and finding that right sound. Find people that are actually making money in voiceover, and listen to them, because you want to be like people. You want to pattern yourselves after people that are already successful in what you're doing.
Right.
So those are the best pointers that I can give you offhand in voiceover. So hopefully that helps somebody out there.
Awesome. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'm giving these long-winded answers.
You're good. This is a podcast.
This is a podcast. This is what we're here to talk. We're talking.
I'm like, give me this. So now give me the short version of stuff, and don't just say.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Everybody, don't forget to follow my man Ray. What's your Instagram?
It is Ray Hurd voice _actor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Ray Hurd voice _actor, and you'll see my picture. And if you, that picture is a little different than some of the other pictures of me out there, because I shaved my head down when I took that picture, so no hair in the picture. So if I look a little different, that's why.
Okay.
No
but
problem.
It's me.
Any other social medias you want to throw out there?
I haven't started TikTok yet, so I can't tell you that offhand, but I will be doing that soon. I've got the account up, and I'm just, I'm working on it. I'm trying to push everybody, most of everyone's from Facebook to Instagram, but I keep getting a lot of Facebook requests, like from even the young fans. I'm like, really? Which is cool. But I'm trying to get them to transfer over to Instagram, because Instagram will be easier. I post things there all the time, and it goes over to my Facebook account. So yeah, right now Instagram is where it's at, and everything else will be funneled over to TikTok soon. So that's about it right now.
All right.
But for any potential clients, rayhurd.com. You get me on my website. And you can you can also message me through Instagram, but and on Facebook under Ray Hurd, voice actor. And I'm available.
Awesome, man. All right, this has been a wonderful interview. I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk with us. This is like this has been very nice. I've loved it.
Very insightful, very informative.
Thank you both.
Good time talking. We really appreciate your time.
Before we leave, can I get a little topo voice going on?
Oh, you want topo? Okay, so thank you both for allowing me to provide some form of justice to all those listening from the 11th universe. To all of you, trust in the might within, and you shall achieve true justice.
Hey, nice. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Don't forget to follow Trap Anime at Trap Anime Podcast on Instagram, and don't forget to check out our website www.trapanimepodcast.com. All right, guys, and we are out of here.
Bye.
All right.